All right, and we are rolling. Hello, humans, and hello to all those non-humans also watching. Gita Rose here. Thank you for tuning in. This video is a bit of a podcast. What makes it a podcast? That I have a microphone and I have headphones. That's what makes it a podcast. But I'm excited to start sharing a new series called Gabbing with Gita. And I've got my friend with me again here, Casey Lake. Hello, Casey. Thanks for joining me today.
Hello, Gita. So wonderful to be on the Gabbing with Gita show once again for the second time.
That's right. You've been the only guest.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited for the continuation of the Gabbing with Gita show, and maybe there'll be more with me on as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I did this last year when we were organizing the Lionsgate Shasta retreat, and I was thinking that I was going to start it as a series a year ago, but now I'm actually really excited, and I've got other guests lined up. So yeah, it's going to continue, and definitely I'd love to have you back again. But today we're excited to kind of, in ways, introduce more of your teachings and more of your offerings to our human hybrid community. So if you just want to state who you are and a little bit of your bio and your background, let's give you the mic. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So a brief introduction of Casey, huh? So I've been studying martial arts for like a really, really long time. I grew up studying martial arts, and I lived in martial arts schools. I've traveled a lot through Asia studying, um, I have over 15 black belts in Japanese martial arts. I'm an instructor of a Russian special forces martial art, and I've been studying Chinese internal arts for over 10 years. And so that's my martial arts background. And I also grew up, having some paranormal activity, contact experiences and whatnot. And that's coincided with my path as well, as I strengthen my physiology, because a lot of the martial arts come with a lot of esoteric training as well. And that's something I have a lot of experience in. And other things as well is different Eastern and Western esoteric schools of philosophical and mystical development. And so I've been on a personal, fun, unique journey, exploring with the Bashar community for over 10 years as well now. So it's all accumulated, and I've accumulated a really fun, synergistic, playful method and experience that I use for myself that is the most fun and empowering thing for me to take what really works for me and what really accelerates my being and my frequency, and keep exploring the way one chooses to explore, and creating a proper system where everyone's kind of free to do that, but just lay the proper foundation of really how things work to protect people. And in my training, I really boil everything down to the common denominator of structure: breathing, relaxation, and functional movement. Those are the only four core training principles, and then we can segment everything from there and break down movement, which is, each have a folder we can explore endlessly and mix and match. And that's been the fun for me, is mixing and matching and playing with so many different drills, playing with so many different limitation. How limitation can be a really fun and expansive thing to, once you're free of it, to break everything apart and study everything individually in a limited way, and then use it to come back and strengthen the whole.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big process, is starting out very simple, going complex, but then the complexity comes back to simplicity, and it is ever more rich.
Always
Yeah.
does. That's so cool. I'm so
Mm-hmm.
excited to learn more from you, and to see you step out more and share. And that's kind of what inspired this, as I was
Mm-hmm.
noticing that you were getting ready to start sharing stuff and doing some classes. And just because I'm curious now. So you said that you have 15 black belts in what lineages, or what types of martial arts? I'm just curious. And I'm
So I grew up in the Japanese styles, and I lived in a Japanese martial arts school for a while and traveled a lot through Japan and Asia. And I grew up mostly in jujutsu, like old school samurai, daito ryo, aikijitsu, and seibukan jujitsu, and aikido as well. Bujinkan budo taijitsu, which is ninjutsu, like the ninja lineages, and also Battojutsu, which is just plainly the art of drawing and fast cutting with the sword, and
wow.
doing a lot of different stuff with the katana. And
Wow.
then, yeah, it's like great times. And
Uh,
Yeah, and then I been studying Chinese internal arts for over 10 years, Baguazhang and Taichi Quan and Neigong as well.
Wow.
And then also I have mainly I had a school for 4 years where I was mostly teaching a Russian style called Systema, which is a Russian special forces art, which is like a James Bond art. We study like everything you can possibly conceive of in contact and movement. And it's
Wow.
really deep and profound, just as equally esoteric as the other ones as well.
So
Yep.
basically, all that we would need to further step into and embody our avatar natures in really beautiful ways, being able to utilize our own energy to get closer to true contact with what the human is capable of, and as well as different tools and understandings and perhaps depictions of physicality that would actually lead us to true open contact.
Yeah, so that's in my walk, in my contact experiences. Um, so, as a kid, I had my own paranormal contact experiences, which really coincided with my martial art path.
Mm,
And being with the Bashar community and hanging
mhm,
out with the Bashar community for over 10 years as well. Definitely what I have learned, the innate wisdom that is instilled in our body that can be mastered and holistically synced with the universe, like in
mm,
Taichi chuan, is the great Taichi, the great harmony, the great Tao of the universe. And through understanding these things and the different warrior traditions and facing our fears, stretching our physiology, to different lengths, and exploring our limitations as much as we can and stretching past them as much
mm,
as we can. And
mm.
that's why it's so good. Like when Bashar talks about, playing with limitation, that's why we do the blindfold training, you know, and then we do all sorts of training that limits your senses perceptions to strengthen
Yeah.
the other ones.
And it's not just Bashar who talks about playing with limitation. Like that's really
Hmm.
that's what we're talking about, right? Like
Yeah.
that's what we've done as
Hmm.
our own Tao, as our own universe that is
Hmm.
creating our version of this physical experience, right? Like we are the ones that are
Yes.
so fully playing
Yeah.
with the limitation,
That's right.
the experience of it, right?
Yeah.
So these different practices really allow us to further deepen into the experience of limitation and being able to wield and utilize the healthy stress, perhaps would you say, that gets activated from those practices?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a part that really activates us at a deep level. People through extremely stressful situations and heightened states of energy, they release, sometimes, higher potent energies that really wake them up, and they
Mhm.
experience the slow motion effect and greater aspects of energy. For example, mothers saving babies under cars and everything, so by purposely, investigating these areas, and really where our deeper innate dormant potential is. This is when people have different kundalini awakenings and
Mm,
everything, which has always been part of the warrior tradition, to put people under a certain amount of stress where they have to access a state of mind where it's mind over matter, even
mhm.
spirit over mind and matter, that draws them forward. And
Yeah.
through this training, I believe when we gain more greater balance of ourself and understand ourself in the face of fear, because when we raise in a higher vibration, we see what's out of alignment with us. And in these great states of power, we're able to know ourselves and even higher beings, because we're showing them we're more self-contained, and
Mhm.
we're moving on the level of self-containment and how to
Mhm.
deal with fear and these intense energies, and literally have your energy contained and be able to play
Mhm.
with it and amplify it ourselves, right?
Yeah, and in
Yeah.
really safe ways where there
Hmm.
is a teacher, there's a setting, and even now what you're stepping forward and starting to share in these different online ways, these different classes, it's a really beautiful way to very safely step into those places of conscious stress.
Yeah,
So that's,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
and to have that container, like you said, in that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's important to stretch our being every day. That's one of the part of the esoteric arts and the martial arts is we're stretching our capacity every day.
Mm,
Like in the martial arts, we're balancing, and stacking so many concepts that we break apart and we integrate back together, you know, like a mechanic breaking his car down and perfecting every piece
Mm,
and knowing how every piece operates and puts it back together for most efficiency, you know, and
yeah.
that we can just know the ins and outs of all of our being and have that self-realization is so important. And that's the fun when you're interacting with people and martial artists. And when martial artists get together, just like musicians, and they have fun with their art, juggling and exploring these intricate things, only they kind of understand that an adept of someone that's not of the art wouldn't really so much have as much comprehension of, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So it's really fun training with other lifelong martial artists and just other people that are innately talented, because there's a lot of hidden wisdom going on all the
Mm-hmm.
time, hidden in plain sight. And
Mm-hmm.
hitting that, studying that wisdom that's within us in plain sight, how just your mental body changes everything of your physical body when you touch someone, in the micro pulsations of thought. These things are completely invisible and only felt.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I love all of that. And to me too, it also going back to the idea of like um, pushing ourselves, right, and extending and always being in an evolution every day, right, experiencing something new and really kind of pushing what it is, you know, to be
Yeah.
possible, or the depths of the mystery that you can explore within yourself. And I think that's so powerful for those of us that are still translating what it really means to follow our excitement. And that some days and sometimes and with certain experiences, it's not always going to be totally sunshine and rainbows and gumdrops, right? There is like
Yeah.
that type of focus, right, of like,
Yeah.
you know, getting into a cold plunge, right? You got to like access
Yeah.
that warrior part of your nature, and there is a
Hmm.
level of utilizing the stress or the anxiety in really positive ways. Or I know Patrick Hayes too has a really good talk about this, where he talks about the push-pull dynamics, and he phrases
Hmm.
it in a really good way that a lot of people within our community will say, within the spiritual community or the new age community, are like, oh, I was feeling pulled to go to that festival or
Hmm.
whatever it is, right?
Hmm.
And then in what times do we have to push ourselves to go to the gym or whatever it is,
Yeah.
being aware of when it is we are truly following our joy, or when it is perhaps that we are resting on our laurels or falling into a habitual
Yes.
conditioning. So I
Yes,
feel like,
absolutely. That's so huge. That's such an important concept, right? Because it's easy to follow our pulls, you know, but then our arts and our crafts, and we're not feeling good. Sometimes it's we're establishing our mind over our physiological body, you know.
mm,
So there's a difference of thought here. There's the one school that says, oh, just listen to your body, you know, but then you might be on the couch all day eating potatoes, chips, right? You know, so that can, you know, there has to be some kind of balance with this, because for me, one of the key phrases I like to say is consistency leads into the mysteries, into the mystery,
mm,
you know,
ooh,
because within mystery schools and warrior traditions, big of the big part of it is overcoming your wimp, your internal wimp, you know, the mind over matter, and like getting into that cold plunge. For me, my highest excitement is every day stretching my physiology and training. Even when I don't feel good, you know, I've done enough internal arts. As soon as I do my form and do my internal alchemy practice in Neigong, I feel better. You know, where
yeah,
people that are first getting into it, where they're using so much intellect power to learn what they're learning, once you learn it, you can use it as a tool.
yeah,
It's spiritual energetic alchemy, you know,
absolutely, man.
to purify your meridians, your aura, all your chakras, and
Yeah.
get everything flowing again.
And that's why I'm so
Mhm.
excited for you to step forward and start sharing
Mhm.
your expertise in this way, because I feel what it is that you're bringing forth are really amazing tools, permission slips, techniques to help people hone that ability to, the image that's coming to mind is like building the fire,
Yeah.
like building the ability to not
Mhm.
sit on the couch, or to have the discernment of what really is our true excitement. And sometimes it, you know, means pushing through. And I feel like these techniques really allow people to build the capacity to keep actually doing it, right? There's a lot of different techniques, there's a lot of different permission slips, but my And I'll be honest, I like to always be honest and kind of reveal my ignorance in this way. And that's why I'm so excited to learn from you as you continue to share. Is I know nothing about this, what you're sharing with us and what you're about to start releasing more videos on and stuff like that. I don't really know, but
Mm-hmm.
my instincts tell me, and my hybrid spidey senses tell me that it is like one of the best permission slips that we know of to be able to cultivate this ability to really be in that level of discernment, to continue to build the strength to really know what is our true excitement.
Yeah, wow,
Yeah.
that's so huge, because I feel in my journey sometimes I don't even know what my excitement is. You know, when you're in a low vibration or you're feeling in a funk, right? Like, I'm not excited about anything, you know, but and that's the cool thing about doing the energetic practices, because it helps clean you out to even feel more, and to
Mm,
cultivate energy and to feel what authentically
mm,
excites you. And at the same time doing more of, you know, the journaling work too, and all
mm,
the investigation of belief systems, because all this is about is liberating energy. You know, in the warrior traditions, like you're overcoming limiting beliefs. Like when you go hands with someone and you go push hands with someone, and you're immediately contacting that person's energy and consciousness, and you could literally feel how their limiting belief systems are inhibiting their movement.
mm,
You know, so
mm,
it's so mysterious, you know, and
mm,
it's so beautiful and fun in that way, you know. So cultivating this is, you know, has always been a common thread for me,
mhm.
you know, to get into my physical body, my energy, and to like feel myself. I want to feel alive, you know, and pump and build that fire and feel,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
the bellows, you know, and the
Mm.
percolation in my being, you know.
Mm, yeah, so
Yeah.
many people want that, especially during these times, and really need that. You know, when we are experiencing all of this profound transformation, that yes, it is coming from us for us, but we're really good at creating the trick, right? We're really
Yeah.
good. It's a challenging time that we're in. And so
Hmm.
we need as many of these different techniques and practices. And when
Yeah.
there is a lineage of collective consensus belief, right?
Hmm.
Like permission slips are everything's a permission slip, but there really
Yeah.
does seem to be a power when there is a consensus agreed upon belief that this is really, you know, these energy practices really do work. That, of
Hmm.
course, in conjunction with the journaling or with the investigation. But I think so many people are really looking for and needing physical practices. I get a lot of, because I think it allows people to be able to meditate, or to even know that they're strong enough to sit down and journal and find the beliefs, right? Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so much of what it is that we're experiencing right now is being reminded of our power and knowing that we are able to wield it wisely. um,
Yes.
so these energetic practices from this specific lineage really feel that are just great for us to do that. And so in
Mm.
terms of what it is that you know and what you have practiced from these lineages, how do you feel that it's important as we really prepare to bridge for open contact?
Yeah. You know, well, to know ourselves as much as possible, you know,
Mm,
my own personal contact experiences, um, you know, this is kind of what's been shown to me and has amplified my excitement in my own path of these practices, is keep attaining greater states of self-knowingness and experience at all levels that we can, like really stretching ourselves and get fully transparent as much as possible. Because the old adage, you know, a charcoal engine can run and blah, 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 and like still go, but when we pick up the energy, precision engine can't have a speck of dirt in it, right?
mhm.
And that's the same evolution of martial arts and energetic training.
Oh, that's great. I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the simplicity, like you were saying it. The more that you
Hmm.
learn, the more that we expand, the more that we just go back to knowing the simplicity of all things, which is knowing thyself and having that level of clarity. And um, it's like the warrior's commitment to authenticity. right? There
Yeah.
is that level of like Bella. She's so funny, of
Hmm.
course, with the
Yeah.
word play. The hybrids are so funny, but she says that she doesn't like the word dedication. She prefers the word alivication.
Uh,
Um,
yeah, that's great.
yeah. So it's
Yeah.
our alivication, our commitment
Hmm.
to that level of authenticity. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, you know, it's nothing personal, but just in martial arts, you know, there's different dinner tables you can sit at,
Mm-hmm.
right? And sometimes you just need different manners to sit at different dinner tables.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's nothing personal. It's just how it is. It's just kind of, I'm trying to get to like more of a physics standpoint right now, is what I'm saying. You know, it's like with celestial beings, you can only match what the vibration or the frequency of an experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we need to amplify and accelerate ourselves as much as possible. That's my excitement. That's why,
Oh
like,
yeah.
I'm the type of person like you very much. You know, when you get into something, you just get fully into it. You know,
Yeah.
so into it, and very passionate, right? And for me, the acceleration of constantly being in a dance of all these energetic
Mm,
practices keeps a certain amount of rhythm
mm,
to raise the frequency and to strengthen your soul song in a sense, you know,
mm,
where you're singing a soul song where you can match the song of the higher songs of the higher celestials and whatnot. So classically in different warrior traditions, there's a lot of stories of different warriors and different warrior traditions having contact experiences.
mm-hmm.
They don't talk about extraterrestrial style, but they talk about different warriors being initiated by different kinds of, beings that taught them different martial arts and stuff, and like
Yeah.
different elements that show up in martial arts, you
Yeah.
know? So it's always been a thing in the warrior
Mm-hmm.
traditions.
Do
Yeah.
you want to
Hmm.
go into and share at all any of what your precise contact has been? Is that something that you want to share?
I'll keep it pretty general,
Yeah.
but the you know what I feel really connected to in those experience, I've had contacts with gray aliens throughout time, which has been really weird and interesting. Like when I was a
Mm-hmm.
child, and then up to uh, just a few years ago. But I've had contact of really deep ancient wisdom teachers that have been here from almost the inception, overlooking uh, the humankind's growth,
Mm-hmm.
that have always been able to lay us out wisdom within our collective consciousness.
Mm,
And they see when we're ready for certain levels of evolution and certain levels of experience and contact.
mm,
And what I've experienced is everything simplified. Like you
yeah.
start out simple, go complex, and it comes back simple. And then we're marveled at the great masters, right? Because they
Mm.
make the complex, the amazingness of the complexity within just a squiggle of a line. It sells for millions of dollars, you know? And so that's what I've experienced is tons of mastery within simplicity, but
Mm,
the balance of all things within these ancient wisdom teachers, such as mastering the serpent, has been a
mm-hmm.
very big theme, very important theme. I got popped out of my body, and there was this serpent, and this great being had this serpent under control.
Mm,
And then there's the most vile, primordial essence of the primeval, like
mm,
just eat your face off if it had knows nothing else but to just that pure base survival vanquishing power,
mm,
you know and he controlled that energy so
mm,
calm, so
mm,
pristine, where his full awareness was just circling around the head and controlled his head
mm.
in a nice little circle, and controlling that nice little vicious being with the most calm, pristine, calm energy, you know
Yeah.
and that was very huge for me, because that's martial arts all the
Mm-hmm.
way. Because most
Mm-hmm.
people, when they get into altercations or conflict, they immediately go into a primitive state of mind. They go into tension. We study that in the martial arts. Actually, the first level is animal, then human, then
Mm,
spiritual. So it
mm.
starts out, you have to know the primordial power, within your
Yeah.
body, the instinctual.
Yeah. And we're seeing
Yeah.
that aspect of consciousness, of the all that is, of polarity running rampant right now, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's so many humans that are not really quite able to master that level of control. So that understanding of being able to wield that primordial power is so huge and beneficial, I think, especially for
Yes.
those of us that are um, of a certain belief structure, that know everything is coming from within us. And that's something that we're all aiming in different ways to be able to fully wield that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, that's just so exciting that
Yes.
you have that perspective and that you're excited to step out and kind of,
Hmm.
first off, thank you for sharing that and for going into just the brief amount of description of the contact that you have had, because I know it's quite vast. And as you continue
I'm
to,
writing a book on it, actually.
yeah, okay, there we go. Right
Yeah,
on.
on my
Good,
contact experiences. And
good, good.
yeah,
Well, we will all be super
yeah.
excited to read that when it comes out, because I know from my experience too, I've
Uh-huh.
really only kind of tapped the surface of things that I have shared
Hmm.
publicly. I've talked a lot
Yeah.
about the contact that I've had, but there's even more experiences that I've had that I haven't really gone into, because there is a
Mm.
level of needing um, the full, again, kind of wielding of that power, right, for
Yeah.
ourselves first. And
Yes.
I think a lot of us in the early
Hmm.
stages, we're like, feel like we need to talk about it and share it
Yeah.
because we need to
Yeah.
feel validated, right?
Yes.
And then once we get to a certain level of it, then we don't need to convince anyone, and we know the importance of wielding it and integrating it. So I think many of us are still in the process of stepping out and sharing all of the contact and all of the deep, profound, ancient wisdom that we have. And that's going to be a big, huge part of the fun, I think, in the years to come, is more people really knowing how to share it too,
Yeah.
as people really find what their deep passions are. So it's so exciting. I think that we're going to have lots of books and podcasts and all sorts of stuff is going to start coming out.
Oh yeah, through the collective, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I totally agree. I think people have experiences and it's excited, and there's a level of new experience there that
Mm-hmm.
sheds through and burns. This is the
Mm-hmm.
classical shamanic initiation, actually, where it
Mm-hmm.
exacerbates someone's ego and
Mm-hmm.
personality complex, and then they get it beat down and dwindled down, and then able to take those spiritual experience for themselves and not muddy it or dirty it
Yeah.
or casting the pearls too early before the gestation
Mm-hmm.
period's appropriate for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I've definitely experienced that with my close friends. Like, what do you like? I share very intimately with them,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just like,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the most tapped in esoteric mystical people that I know, have taken these things different ways. But
Yeah. But
the
once you,
highest teachers have always guided me to honor my experience and soak it in as much personally as I can, because
mm-hmm.
that's why it's been given to you, first of all,
Right.
to instill the wisdom within yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Hmm.
when you were saying that you share some things with your friends, and they're kind of like not knowing quite how to take it, and I know that part of your journey in stepping out and sharing has been, how do you bridge these worlds, in terms of the hybrid
Mm.
contact and the ET awareness and this ancient tradition and lineage. And I think for a lot of people, they still have fear in terms of how they might be received with their friends or their family, or even jobs that they still have, even during this time of transformation. So how was that process for you, and how are you feeling in terms of um, stepping out and creating that, the trinity in the middle way of sharing these techniques and ideas?
Well, for the longest time, still it is has been a great fear,
Mm-hmm.
of because over the past 10 years, I've had like kind of a double life, tons of martial arts, but in the background, I've been investigating all the ancient mysteries and extraterrestrials and all the
Mm-hmm.
conspiracy theories, and dwindling down and distilling and chipping away at the wood, so to speak, of what is actually effectual for my life and what is actually wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And when I can express these things intellectually, that's something that's based for all, not just blowing up my experience or self-importance, but bringing those principles into my being and helping share those base principles is what's the most important thing. Like, people
Mm-hmm.
don't even have to know. I don't even have to share any of my crazy esoteric astral popped out of body experiences, no matter how cool they be. If it's appropriate, I'll share. you
Mm-hmm.
know but the most important thing is to instill the wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
and bring it in our movement, or bring it in our way of being and how we hold ourselves and interact with the world. So that's what I have learned through all of that. And then those people that I was scared to bring up the subject to, with, it doesn't even matter, it's not even relevant that we talk about other
Mm-hmm.
things, but the wisdom is always present,
Mm.
is what's important. And I think that's what's really cool with the martial arts masters, is because we're always studying that hidden
Mm-hmm.
wisdom, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone's having their own experience of the
Mm-hmm.
mysteries and the mysteries of movement, and you know so it's really fun to actually keep it secret to some extent.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
be able to, like you said, to share those
Hmm.
parts when it's needed,
Yeah.
and to then know in places where it is really safe, right, to share aspects of it. And I think
Hmm.
parts of our community and people within the hybrid community are really receptive when people share just a little bit, right? And we see the essence completely. Like, we're like, oh, okay, hi, I see you, I feel your vibration, like I feel like I know you, I remember you from experiences. And then it becomes about the wisdom and about the lessons that and we can receive from people. So I think that's a really beautiful place to be. And again, man, I'm just like so proud of you that you have taken the time to really integrate, and as you were saying, to chip
Hmm.
away at that wood and really find what is important for you. And yeah, and selfishly, like, I'm just really excited to learn more from you and to learn
Yeah.
some of these practices.
Yeah.
And actually that leads me to an
Uh-huh.
idea about in my experiences of being able to observe the Yael civilization, they
Hmm.
practice a lot of these techniques.
Hmm.
And I've gotten what feel like movies. Like, I'm able to like watch the movie of like a whole bunch of Yael beings, or sometimes Sasani beings, but mainly from my window, it's Yael beings that are able to utilize a lot of these techniques, and they do it in big, huge groups. So I guess just for funsies, to kind of like weave in perhaps what some of your intuitions tell you, what things that perhaps you have gleaned from Bashar or other interactions with hybrids, of how the hybrids utilize these
Hmm.
techniques.
Mm. Well, what I think is wisdom is wisdom, and wisdom keeps growing on it, and the amount of synchronization and coherence we can have with each other, just as like Tibetan monks, they're always stretching their toning, in the temple, and making the temple, certain sacred geometry to refract more vibration and sound and whatnot.
Mm,
It's just that multiplied, basically,
mm,
to where, masters, magicians, and all sorts of shamans, they're very telepathic, right? And
mm-hmm,
can sense what's going on. They have precognition. They can see someone's, destiny. They're so transparent in themselves. They can see others more than they can see themselves, like
mm,
the hybrids talk about.
mm,
We know you better than you know you,
mm-hmm,
stuff like that. And that eventually, that higher state of coherence and vibration reflect in our technology,
mm,
because we can't perceive what we're not the vibration of. So we start to accelerate that physiological. And this is what I love about someone who's really bringing this mainstream, is Dr. Joe Dispenza, right?
mm-hmm,
And he's doing this thing, like the 4-minute mile thing. One dude passed it, now a bunch of
mm-hmm,
other people
mm-hmm,
are doing it. It's bringing it out to the collective to know these things are not woohoo, but they're base physiological, biological phenomena. We
mm-hmm,
just forgot, because we've been so lost in external medicine, external technology, all these things, jobs, money, all these things that have kept us distracted from the jewels that are hidden within us, where the
mm-hmm,
mysteries lie within.
mm-hmm.
So I think that's why it's so important, the connecting bridge of going deeply internal and studying all these things, because that synchronizes us with a higher energy, where we're able to maintain more.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, one thing that I just want to share, just to give people like a little bit of like a breadcrumb or a little bit of excitement. When I was practicing with you and Jennifer and Jay, when you did your live stream last week,
Mm-hmm.
I actually received this whole amazing vision of connecting with the hybrids and having like
Mm.
that they were practicing with us. Like I could really see it and feel it. And that level of support and structure that they were sending to our civilization by synchronizing our movements and our energies in that way. It was really beautiful and profound. And I got, it's
Oh,
funny.
cool. Yeah.
I'm noting too that usually I'm kind of the one to
Uh-huh.
kind of like anchor it back to the wisdom, anchor it back to the self.
Mhm.
I am always like, no, like don't go out into the vision of the UFOs, like come back into but you're holding that space. So it's really fun for me to be able to be like, and
Mm.
also,
Ah,
and I
yeah.
always like to, to play a little bit of the contrarian. So I just want to share that with people as well, that that's
Yeah.
something that we can look forward to as we're deepening and knowing thyself. These are also really beautiful techniques where we can play with the idea of synchronicity and alignment with the perfection of the timing to like, oh, I just looked on Facebook and Casey's doing his live stream right now. Like, oh, how fun. Like, perfect. I can do that. I'm not doing anything else right now. Like, let's all connect together and do it. And it's a way that we can really begin to play with the synchronicity and connect with the hybrids in different ways. So I just wanted to share that along because that was a really neat experience that I had last week that I really wasn't expecting, because I was
Mm.
really like, okay, I'm excited to learn, to like be in my energy, to like just be,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got this whole vision that I just really wasn't
Mm.
I wasn't expecting. So it was really sweet.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's the great Taichi of synchronicity, that blends us with the all, and
Mm.
there's spirits around us all the time. And
Mhm.
that's something we, different, well, different fields of martial arts, the more esoteric ones are more aware of because they're doing all the psychic training as well,
Mm.
that, if you look in like Taoist stuff, you can see different writings talk about severing their connection of their spirit to like their ancestors and like
Mm.
their different spiritual guides and the warriors that fight with them, or the celestial beings that hover over that person, and like how to.
Oh, we just, there you go.
There
Cool.
we go. So a bunch of wild mysticism, right?
Yeah.
And you know so yeah, that's happening all the time, and that's what I've in like really heightened, like tapped in energetic states where you're on the razor's edge of existence, of like between life
Mm.
and death, and you're balancing in that. And that's like that razor's edge that's really, really exciting, where that all begins to pop, and it's like you're.
Oh, is that me again? We froze again. It's so exciting. All right, we are powerful. I'm going to have a lot of editing to do. Okay, I don't know if this is me. No, I'm still connected. I don't know what happened. Whee! Yeah, and I'll just edit it in. All right. So with the movie magic, we have had this now seamless, but we keep having a really fun experience. There you are. It glitched again.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we keep having a super fun experience of manifesting our innate connection through the experience of disconnection, remembering that we have to be fully connected to experience disconnection. Casey and I are learning that we are totally connected to our universe, to source, to energy, to power, to the inner web of all of us. Because we keep it's on my end that my Wi-Fi, which interestingly enough, my Wi-Fi is called ET&T. Like that's what I labeled my Wi-Fi, because it's funny. It just keeps cutting me out, and this has never happened before.
Mhm.
I use my Wi-Fi, just about every day to be able to provide sessions with people and bring through Bella, and it never does anything like this. So how exciting, how fun, right?
Yeah.
Because we're learning our connection, and I really do think it's
Hmm.
a really, again, being able to find the excitement and the lesson and everything. It's totally a reflection of our connection and of people that are watching this, right, that are maybe really excited about the next phase of what this means for all of us, and more of us stepping into more of our ET&T abilities and our true internet connection. So thanks for playing with me on this one, Casey, and through
Yeah.
movie magic, it'll be seamless for everyone. But it's been a really fun experience. And I always appreciate too, like, those moments when you really get to see that, like, you have shifted when you create an experience that, like, is challenging, and you genuinely have that response. Oh, you froze again. Did it just do
Oh
it
no,
again? Oh no, you're here. You're so
I'm just
still.
being a lizard.
Yeah, dude. The simplicity of the stillness. I love it, bro.
Yeah.
That's great. When we align with those experiences where, like, we really get to have that genuine reaction of, like, oh, how
Hmm.
fun, right? Where, like, that's our first response. And then you check yourself and you're like, oh, that was really authentic. Like, I'm genuinely excited to have this experience right now. Like, that's cool. I'm a different version.
Yeah.
So that's always really fun. And this kind of correlates into what you were talking about when it cut out, um, and kind of how I was interpreting what you were saying. What I was hearing in the moment was what a lot of different shamanic teachings, and I think Bruce Lee even talked about this, as having a good death, right? Like
Oh
the
yeah, death. Yeah.
embracing the good death.
Hmm.
And in ways, like, that's really what our civilization is going through now, right? And that
Yeah.
transfiguration and that true transformation, and the Wi-Fi cutting out and us keep having to reboot ourselves as new versions is kind of
Yeah.
a neat symbolism in that. So if you want to talk a little bit about having a good death, and how we can have joy and excitement and bliss in that experience, even through these current reflections that we're seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think death is such an important, great talk about the mysteries, and which is within warrior traditions as well. Is different warrior traditions having different ideas, or ancient Egypt was all based on death,
Mm,
as well. And my personal contact experiences, a big transmission was preparing for death. You
mm,
know, and to energetically hone ourselves as much as we can through our life to attain, like what I said, living at the razor's edge, like within combat, to pass and be with that as conscious as possible, to look death
mm-hmm,
in the face and transition with it within a great
mm-hmm,
movement of Taichi between life and death.
mm,
And how much can you stay within that center point, within the
mm-hmm,
full experience of life and death, and going into it and still maintaining fullness.
mm-hmm,
So we train our whole life for that moment, no
mm.
matter how you die. Like the samurai was already prepared for death before they die. So that's what's huge in martial arts, actually, is we do all this testing the body through like pain and
Mm.
different stuff to see how conscious you can sustain yourself through excruciating amounts of pain.
Mm. And people
you
don't
know
necessarily, need to take it to that level of things if
Yeah,
they don't
it can
want to, but
become too
they, yeah,
sadomasochistic as well. So there's a very delicate balance with that. But who
yeah.
can maintain consciousness and still operate with
Mm,
a great deal of
mm,
suffering? Like
mm.
that's the fun Earth game. How much resistance can you handle?
Totally. And
Which
that's
can be used negatively too, but you can use it positively as well.
absolutely, and that's,
Yeah.
I feel, really what we're doing right now. Like what you said is crucial, is how can we maintain that balance, and how can we be fully in
Hmm.
that center point through so much resistance and suffering, seeing suffering, and still being able to wield the middle way. And I
Yeah.
really feel like that's what we're doing right now. That's the level of transformation that we are. So I've been
Hmm.
playing a lot with, and through Bella's help and guidance of the hybrids, is slightly adjusting my language all of the time and everything that I do. And she's
Mm.
been saying to people recently, it's not that you're in a transformation,
Hmm.
you are transformation. All of
Yeah.
you are transformation
Yeah.
itself that is
Yes.
here. And
Yeah.
again, I really like being really honest and vulnerable with some of these dense places that I can go into.
Hmm.
And sometimes I'll think to myself, like, I want to die. Like, I want to die. I just want to go back. I want to
Just give
die.
me that release. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I want
Totally.
to go back to the party. I want to die. Um, and then I remind myself kind of from like this cosmic giggle place that I'm like, oh, wait, no, I'm death itself. I'm
Yeah.
transformation itself. I am the endless cyclical nature itself that is here birthing this human earth experience to bring about the next phase of evolution. Oh, right. I can't die because I am death.
Yeah.
Um, so that's been a way that I alchemize it. And I think, it's a really powerful topic. And again, kind of going back to why I'm so excited that you're presenting these
Hmm.
techniques is you're offering perhaps really gentle ways, not even anywhere getting near the kind of sadomasochistic exploration of what some of these extents go to, but really approachable ways, perhaps,
Yes.
where people
Hmm.
can continue to find that ownership of their own deep transformation within themselves.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Because it's all about us having the willingness
Mm.
and the strength and the courage to stretch ourselves in new capacities in different ways. And we all have certain fears about different things. You know, I have my own fears. Everyone has their own fears. You know, I have my own strengths, you know, that if one person shines in this area, you know, I might, you know, show strength in another area they don't have. It's always going to be like that, you know? And
Absolutely.
so, you know, there's no, you know, we're all on this journey of mastery together. And that's what's really
Yeah.
exciting. Yeah.
It's so beautiful, and there's
Yeah.
such power too in the fear and utilizing it wisely. And again, too, this was something that I wanted to mention earlier. Going back to, you mentioned Joe Dispenza and how that this information is becoming more mainstream in ways that's really cool and exciting. And I've been doing a little bit more research myself about neuroscience and understanding the importance of pushing through stress,
Yes.
and
Yes.
how that actually gives us the internal reward systems and releases
Exactly.
all of the dopamine and serotonin and all that kind of stuff. So again, just kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier, the importance
Yes.
of
Yes.
pushing through and
Yes.
redefining our
It
excitements. Yeah.
it takes you past your mind, you know.
Mhm.
So in that training, it's how long can you sustain stillness? You
Mm.
know, that's what they're going for. You know, because in that sustained stillness, you have that expanded mind and you see your little monkey mind running around everywhere. And it's trying to get your ADHD ass to move and like operate and find distractions for it so you're not this bigger contained self that's seeing the
Mm.
little monkey self run around, you know.
Mm.
And so that's the you know, and stillness, you know, that's why martial arts was invented, you know, for the
Mm.
Shaolin, you know. It's the one dude came over from India and like, okay, to sustain greater states of meditation, we need to do martial arts so we can sit longer, you know, and exercise greater aptitudes of our being,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Yeah.
just so excited that you are stepping out and sharing more. And I'm so excited to learn from you and to continue to co-create with you. So, and we didn't even really get into, we'll have to save that for the next episode, but your hypnosis techniques as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Do you want to
It's
share
all
just,
part of it.
yeah, do you want to share a bit of that briefly?
Sure. I had something really cool on my mind, but I guess it's just gonna have to synchronize later.
Well,
um
go for it. Go for it. It's fine. Say what you want to say.
what was it, real quick? One second, one second, one second, one second. Oh man, it was juicy and good too, but it's
Mm,
okay.
I'm sorry.
Um, it's all good. It's all good.
How could this
It had
go?
to do with something of, yeah, the meditation and the body cultivating and all of it coming together. And that was really relatable, but it's okay. We can edit through this,
Hmm.
right? So we'll just start on this new thing. So yeah, the trance and hypnosis is something that's synchronized very beautifully for me in my life, something that I was always drawn to. But after my martial arts school was bought And I took off to the woods for a year, and I synchronistically was living on this big property where I lived in a cabin. And the woman who owned this property, her name is Rainy Dan. She's been a teacher in Santa Cruz, one of the top hypnosis teachers in Santa Cruz for like 40 years. And so I learned a whole bunch from her and did all of her training and everything. And it was really beautiful and fun to access trance states of consciousness and how we can use that for our personal acceleration. And really, all of Dr. Joe Dispenza's stuff is all hypnosis. It's all hypnosis, is becoming in a deeper state of consciousness or a heightened state of consciousness to look at that beta brainwave frequency and how it's all effed up, you know, and how we just question it to see if that's what we really prefer at different levels of consciousness.
Yeah.
So we can make those shifts and shift those beliefs
Absolutely.
and have miracles before our life and radiate a different frequency. It's just so amazing.
Yeah.
It's so amazing.
Because we've like hypnotized ourselves in ways to even have this experience. And then there's the experience of the external control system, we could say, that is projecting another level of hypnosis. And we can always choose to hypnotize ourselves in different ways because we're already existing in a hypnosis experience.
Yeah. And it's so important to break out of that. Like, that's why I love the brainwave frequency trainings of, you know, harmonizing and getting used to each different brainwave state of consciousness, you know, and to intuitively feel the usefulness of those frequencies in your being and well around them. Because the quote unquote enemy is being locked into this beta brainwave frequency of external analytical survival, you know, where the ancients, you know, they were in trance state of consciousness is way more than we were. You know, and it leads to a well-rounded consciousness where that's taboo nowadays and deemed as crazy and weird, you know, and that's not healthy, you know?
Yeah. And it goes back to what you were saying too, about it being full circle of really being able to know thyself. So we can more and more and more anchor in the reality that we are creating all of this, and it's only the experience of the external control system, which I really feel is so powerful. And I've been talking a lot about this in a variety of different ways. My last video was on this idea of really taking the level of ownership that nothing is outside of us. Nothing. Even all of these different experiences that we're seeing, we've created these control systems. And yeah, that's kind of a whole longer rant, but just being able to bring it full circle, I really feel like these techniques and these abilities to tap into these trance states help our brain to be able to rewire itself to remember what the aspect of the higher self knows, because we're all able to observe these belief systems simultaneously, right? Like there's the one part of us that knows, oh, right, I am creating all of this. It's an experience. I'm in a show. And then there is the other part of the brain that is like, oh, well, they are forcing this on us, or they are this or that, right? When we have this split where we forget that there's a lesson, and on some degree I am creating this, and where can I find the lesson? And then once I find the lesson, how can I integrate it to then know what actions we need to take to build the next stepping stones to actually be able to shift our worlds? But these hypnosis trance techniques in combination with these warrior martial arts, I feel are really, really helpful for people honing and finding and literally rewiring themselves so they can actually act from the form we love, right? From that higher perspective.
Yes. And it's just so much fun being in a test beaker like that with everyone. You know, we're in the training circle, there's movement going on, we're doing our meditations, we're doing our movement, and we're constantly dissecting ourselves energetically at all levels in a trance, and looking to be transparent as much as possible within everything. So it's just really great to bring humans together like that. And we're doing that all the time, but doing it with the intention of you're stepping into that place of willingness of being transparent, and like the willingness of like, show me what I'm not seeing. You know, that's the spiritual warrior.
I just
willing to be humbled.
That's right. I just found a word play that I've never found before, hearing you say trance parent. We put ourselves in a trance to reparent ourselves. We become in the transparent, to
Mm-hmm.
be fully transparent with ourselves, and internally and externally, we are fully putting ourselves in a trance to be a
Yeah.
new type of parent for our most preferred selves. Just the way that you said it, I love finding new word puns. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, great. Yeah.
So good.
So much mysteries.
So much mysteries, the mysteries never stop,
Yeah.
never. And that's the eternal
Mm-hmm.
exploration of it. It's so cool.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the same way we just played with that, with language, the same thing is done in martial arts per se. Each
Mm.
posture is a letter.
Mm.
And then you learn how to string the postures together fluidly, and they become words and then sentences and then grammar. So even just the
Mm.
way we made a pun right there, there's like what I was talking about, the humor in martial arts with people that are adept at really deep in it will make the same kind of funny movement puns of
Mm.
combining different principles, that it's just like, and they're speaking a whole nother language of a context that we put and layered in through physical movement, that we have enough context to connect with each other, not to even say anything, and know, through our movement and our stillness and through our being and the precision of another avenue of close, precise awareness and experience.
Mm. Oh,
Yeah.
that is so exciting. That is some
Mm-hmm.
next level stuff
Yeah.
that you're just planting the seeds for us to get ready to step into that next level of training and understanding of uh, the true potential of humans. Oh man, that's just so exciting.
Yeah. It's the
Um,
only thing I'm educated in, so like I'm totally a dope at everything else, I have so
that's
much to learn. Yeah.
and you have so much to teach and you have so much to share. And that's why I'm so excited that you're stepping out. And we need people to be proficicionados in one thing. I kind of feel like I'm like a Jacqueline of many trades. And we all, like you were
Mm-hmm.
saying earlier, we all need to play those different roles. So it's amazing and perfect that you are that precise in your knowledge. And again, I'm just so excited that you are stepping out and sharing. So one idea, and you can do this or not, again, I can movie magic, I can make things happen, but is there a technique, a practice, whether it's a meditation or just a visualization or just maybe one thing that you want to say that perhaps people can take as a bit of home play to begin to start tuning into some of these practices? Is there a simple thing that you can kind of give us right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. Well, I dissect training down really simple. Stillness is a part of it. Stillness is
Mm,
number one. How much degree of stillness can you attain? How your focus on silence.
mm,
How long can you sustain that? How long can you sustain a fluid breath of inhale and exhale? These are some of the most basic principles. How can you study the breath through your body so incrementally at every fiber of your being, which will bring you into more state, trance state consciousnesses? How can so what I do is spiritual athleticism, right? So how many different ways can you stretch yourself that will stretch your experience simultaneously as doing it? So any of the classical Western stuff will do it, but how long can you hold a sustain of focus is very important, because in martial arts and esoteric practices, we have this quadrant system of attention, intention, imagination, and oh my God, I'm blanking. So attention, intention, imagination, and sensation. So we're using and developing different energetic qualities through our mind, through our body, to use different imaginations to grow different sensations. And we're doing that within touch. So you meditating on the elements is really important, but
mm,
taking really fine-tuned time to understand the fire in your body. How long can you concentrate on your heartbeat? What is
mm,
the fire in the mental complex,
mm,
and the spiritual? So the elements connect through so many arts. It's so important. But really just
mm,
standing and breathing and moving your arms and gently feeling the senses all around your body, what it feels
mm,
like for your hands to be here, hovering at every increment of movement in relation to your spine and your body, from heaven, earth, and human.
Mm.
feeling here, how grounded can you be, exploring your central channel, exploring and opening. And so much of the training is exploration of your internal body.
Mm.
How
Mm.
much awareness can you have of your tension deplete, So
Mm.
I look at it again as simplex. It's very complex, but all these things connect. It's simple. It's all here. It's all right now. It just becomes apparent that you're one with nature.
Mm.
You can do the ice, water to steam meditation. That's one that connects through different esoteric practices in martial arts, where you're shifting yourself through densities of awareness,
Mm.
first the physical body, then the water. A lot of Neigong and the energetic training is learning how to move the internal fluids of your body.
Mm.
Like the more blood to your hands to get your hands to heat up and whatnot.
Wow, you are
Yeah.
you're just such
Mm-hmm.
a well of information, and I'm just so excited that you are. Again, I've said it like so many
Yeah.
times, but I just feel the excitement of
Mm-hmm.
everyone kind of witnessing you that is going to watch this once this is up. That is like, yeah, like give me all your courses, like bring it on, Casey, like give me.
Yeah,
So
I can't stop when I get going, but
no, it's
I'll tell you
great.
my favorite thing I'm doing right now, which everyone can download, is there's this one app called Breath Air. It's box breathing. And so within the system, we have circular breathing, triangle breathing, and square breathing or box breathing. So circle breathing is where you can sustain your focus of inhale and exhale without breaking. If you
Mm.
break, you start back at 0 and count.
Mm.
Triangle breathing is where you hold on the inhale or you hold on the exhale.
Mm.
Box breathing is where you hold on the inhale and hold on the exhale. And so you can just get a simple timer. And this is how I face my fear every day and touch death, is through my breath, of
Mm-hmm.
expanding how long I can hold my inhales and exhales simultaneously in a square and a circle.
That's beautiful. Yes,
Yeah.
you can send me the link for that app, and I'll be sure to drop that into the comments for people. But also,
Mm-hmm.
just again, part of what I'm like really excited to do with this whole idea of like gabbing with Gita is to give a platform to people that are just like beginning to share and different ways that I've been helped in my journey of given that hand. I'm really excited to do that for other people, and so that more people within our community know that there's these other teachers and all of these amazing fractals of the prism that are stepping forward. So
Yes.
just to
Mm-hmm.
share how excited I am, and we'll definitely drop the link for that app. But the way that you personally say things is so needed, and people are going to really resonate with you. And for me, even in the moment when you were talking about just the stillness and seeing how long you can just remain still and just fully be with the one inhale,
Yeah.
and to take it as slow as you can. And I just really allowed myself to just be in the moment. And I just looked kind of like right at the
Mm-hmm.
viewfinder and was just really
Mm-hmm.
listening to you in the headphones, um,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to feel all the energy and tingling sensation in my body. And it was really powerful. So even just that morsel that you gave, and then there was so much more that were like, wow, Casey has so much
Yeah,
information.
it's so much fun. It's
So
like
much
endless
fun.
exploration and training is
Yeah.
so much fun. I love that training together, and going off in that and like, let's explore,
Yeah. And
you know. Yeah.
the simplex that
Oh
is,
yeah, I love that word, right?
oh,
Yeah,
that's great.
simplexity. That's my favorite
Simplexity.
word. That's my favorite word. And that's been my journey with all these different martial arts, going crazy complex, but bringing it and simplifying everything to where
Mm.
it's some simplex. A big part of the training is being able to explain everything through metaphor. When we can explain all the philosophy and physics through movement, we're having these like synthesizing, connecting bridges through our consciousness that is really fun.
So
And
fun.
it's
Yeah.
fun. It's just
It's
fun.
fun. It's just the
Yeah.
play. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all of the different ways
Uh-huh.
that we can really step into, again, going back to this idea of these techniques being brought through specific people. I need to
Yeah.
say that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are who we are for a reason. And those of us that are integrated and excited to step forward and present these traditions in hybridized ways, right? To like
Yeah.
bring it all
Mm-hmm.
together is just so profound and so needed. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And hey, to our next retreat, right? So the retreat we did was so fantastic. It was such a fun blend of eclectic wisdom coming
It
together.
was. It
Yeah.
was, yeah. And things are, a little
Mhm.
on hold for right now, how we might be able to do that. I've been playing with the idea of structuring another online retreat. We can
Oh,
talk about that later, and
cool.
we can kind of plant the seed
Yeah.
for that now, that maybe we can circle back and create that and do that, and we'll see. Oh, I feel I'm like a real podcaster, YouTuber. Drop a comment. Let us know if that's
Yeah. 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 Right.
um
Yeah,
but I
absolutely.
think a lot of people would be really into that. And the Lionsgate was so beautiful. And we're still in this phase of the unknown, right? We're
Yeah.
still in this phase of the compression
Hmm.
where and it's by the full acceptance of that, right? Being like, okay, cool, like this is still where we are, not going into the space of like, oh, when is this going to end, or can we go and structure things, or looking and seeing if there are different areas that we can do things in the physical yet, or like playing with like where, like the mystery again never stops,
Yeah.
right? Being exploring
Yeah.
like, wait, where
Uh-huh.
am I actually, and what reality am I really in, right?
Yeah.
So but I do think that there is a level of and this was something too that we didn't really get into, but let's just keep going, because if we cut off, then we'll figure it out again
Okay.
with the Wi-Fi. But this was something else that we were talking about before, is honoring where we are in terms of still being in this phase of compression and still being in this space of initiation
Mm.
of the transformation, and not being in resistance to that still, and fully accepting it, and then being like, okay, well, how can we really utilize it and even
Hmm.
drop deeper into these type of almost monastic practices?
Yeah. Hmm.
Because I think we're still going to be here for some amount of time, but we
Hmm.
can choose to see that, just like the Wi-Fi dropping, right? We can choose to see that as like a really potent opportunity.
Mm.
um, yeah, like I've been deepening in on my own yoga practice, and um, excited to implement some of these techniques that you're sharing. But if you want to speak on that a little bit in terms of really accepting the monastic initiation that we're still in.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, it's been an extreme polarity for me, honestly.
Yeah.
Because right before, I've so the year before this, I was teaching like 8 hours a day,
Mm.
martial arts. And then I took a break for a little bit and moved down here to LA. And where I've just been, I got I didn't know anyone down here. So I moved away from all my clientele up there. And I was working at a job for a little bit, right? A really great job. And I lost the day COVID like hit, quarantine happened. I just got a new place. And then I just lost my job the next day and quarantine happened. I was just like,
How
you know?
exciting.
Yeah. Oh, it was just like here, we're gonna kick you in the nuts 3 times. And so, it was fun, it was really exciting, and it had me on a very interesting journey of despair and suffering and feeling life is not fair for a moment. But
Mm.
I'm totally used to doing whatever I have to do to survive. I'm no
Hmm.
stranger to that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, that's where
Um,
so many of us are right now, is in
mm,
being in that despair. And the way that you shared that just now, even kind of being able to make fun of ourselves. You still allow yourself to feel that honest expression, but it's like once we
yeah,
go through it, we can kind of see like, oh right, I was like just in the dramatic expression, and like, man, I was so good in that scene. Like I went so deep into my
yeah,
despair. That was fun.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. But at the same time, like I was like in panic mode, so
Sure.
my mind, when I was in that state of consciousness for, a month or two there, I was like, the last thing I wanted to do was meditate.
Mm.
I'm like, I have to like hustle, and so I had to do a whole bunch of stuff to get everything solid. And now coming on the other side of that, where I'm just totally investing into my monastic experience and
Mm.
finally being able to even surrender into it.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, that was still a fun experience that I had. I know a lot of people have had different experiences through
Mm-hmm.
quarantine,
Mm-hmm.
but that was mine, you know, which was
I think that was a lot
the
of our,
rug pull,
yeah, for
you know,
sure.
the rug pull for a minute and dancing with the rug pull. And, but just now, well, actually, no, the past few months I've been very dedicated, and I literally do tons of training every day. Like I train 360, like I do all my calisthenics, I do all my breath training, I do all my yoga, I do all my qigong, I do
Yeah.
all my tai chi, I do all my mental trainings, you know, and I do other extreme sports as well that I do to channel my adrenaline because I
Nice.
have fun with that.
Yeah. And I,
Yeah.
for me too, I was in a really similar
Hmm.
situation. You know, I came back um, from the Hawaii retreat and I had like $20 because I
Oh my
thought I was,
God.
yeah,
Yeah.
I thought I was going to go right back to the work at the restaurant. And then like, whoop, like you're saying, the rug
Oh,
gets pulled out from under me. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, you know, I hustled too for a little bit. I did a lot of sessions by donations. And then honestly, I was lucky enough to get on the California unemployment pretty
Yep.
fast when that
Hmm.
happened. And then
Hmm.
pretty soon I was like, oh, like, oh, okay, here we are. Like
Yeah.
I'm in a level of abundance that I
Yeah.
honestly
He's
haven't seen.
supported.
Yeah, I'm totally support it.
From totally like, ah, you know, to like, okay, breathe, something's going to happen. Chill.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of us are potentially there right
Hmm.
now, right? Where we've kind of
Yeah.
like, um, popped out the other side, at least in our experience and our perception of being like, oh, okay, I did make it through a level of my internal initiation of my internal fire.
Yeah.
But the collective that I'm still creating, we're still in this confined experience.
Hmm.
But now that we're like, oh, but I have a level of support, I have a level of structure, I hustled, I made the right moves, like I did it, right? And I kind of feel
Yeah.
like a lot of us were like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then we've kind
Yeah.
of like, okay, we're here.
Uh-huh.
But the external is still literally, you know, falling down around us, but we can be in that internal place of the wielding of the center point of the neutrality of the Trinity. And so I think it's dope that you're being super honest. And that's kind of why I wanted to bring this up, because that's what I went through as well. And
Hmm. Hmm.
now collectively we can start to be like, okay, let's have fun with the fact that like we're still here and not see it as like a negative thing, to allow ourselves to go even deeper into the monastic experience. Even if it's just for another month or two, which probably I mean, who knows, we'll see how things actually go. But by fully accepting it and seeing it as a gift that like we've made it through this level, and now we can really focus on our practices, whatever it may be, and different
Yes.
individuals are sharing and stepping up more because we've made it through. A lot of us have actually aligned with more abundance than we've had in a long time
Hmm.
in monetary money, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
um and now we're at a place where we know that it's like it's time to, like, you know, to put it out there, to do it, because I think a level of us has realized like, oh, this is totally an experience. Like it's gotten to the part where it's so crazy, where
Hmm.
there's a part of our brain that like can't deny anymore that like this is an
Yeah.
experience, that this is a dream. Like it's so
Yeah,
crazy.
absolutely. You know, absolutely. Ever since you know, really going into it and really working on my quote unquote vibration, state of being and harmony. We don't experience things we're not the vibration of. You know, uh, I had my inner child work pop up there for a moment of a
Mm,
little disempoweredness, you know, and like, oh, this sucks. Bad things happen to me, you know, and, you know, being patient with that and working with that.
mm,
And, you know, coming out on the other side of doing all the stillness training and dissecting your thought, doing the hypnosis training and seeing what's not true, what's illusion, what is perfect, what is
mm-hmm,
already here, what do you have, all your gifts. And what's apparent is that you'll never be more abundant than you already are, you know, and going into that space of trust that you're always supported, like
mm-hmm,
we've seen through this. and it just keeps going. So yeah, this has been a great time to rewire and a great dark night of the soul to come out more empowered than ever before. And that's definitely what it feels like.
Yeah. Yeah. And how cool that we're still in it.
Mhm.
And now we can really kind of
Yeah.
like, it's a theater,
Yeah.
it's a theater expression when you milk
Mhm.
it, when you milk a scene, like, so, right.
Yeah.
And now we can like
Yeah.
really like milk it for all that it's worth in terms of just
Yeah.
really deepening in. And I think so many of us
Uh-huh.
within our, you know, our hybrid community
Mhm.
or our ET community, we have reached this level of the knowingness of the support and the dream. And now we can all begin to really share and connect and in these new ways, independently together. I still feel like that is relevant, of being able to
Mhm.
be in these practices, whatever it is, if it's these warrior techniques, if it's hypnosis, if it's breathing, if it's meditation, if it's running, if it's
Mhm.
yoga, whatever it is,
Yeah.
and to really utilize this time that we're still in, and to feel the collective consciousness of all of us really doing it together,
Yeah.
is powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so much. I totally agree and feel so much excitement in that as well.
Mm.
You know, and just like you said, you know, keep building your fire, put on that
Mhm.
another log, cultivate that fire, enjoy it as much as possible, feel that beat within you, you know,
Yeah.
and stay and challenge yourself and keep yourself, because in these times,
Mm.
it's, if you don't fill your time with positive, like motivating, challenging things,
Mm.
enjoying things, following your excitement, um, you know, there's
Challenging yourself
stillness,
is important.
absolute stillness training is great, meditation, all that. But if you're just sitting around and panicking or freaking out, you know, or that's, it's only going to bring you energies that are one with that. So
Yeah.
what, you know, what I've experienced, you know, being in panic mode, manifesting negative synchronicity,
Mhm.
and being aware enough to like blatantly see how that happened, you know, and just like, oh, okay, that clearly I hit myself. I can't blame that on anything else. I'm fully responsible, you know? And so I had some experiences where I got to experience some like catalytic smack in the face
Mhm.
awakenings, and I'm sure a lot of people have, and we're still going through them, and I think we always will to varying degrees. But you know, that's what you know, Bashar says, right? The experience of earth is someone hitting themselves in the face and saying, who's doing this,
Mhm.
who's hitting me, you know? And so um more than ever, it's drilled into me to
Mhm.
wake up in the morning, clear my mind,
Mhm.
meditate, go do my qigong right in the morning, clear out my
Mhm.
energy frequency, do my hypnosis and chant into my being, use all my techniques at my toolbox. I am the magician, and I'm at my
Mhm.
tool. I'm at my tool, my internal control room. I am at my master tool desk, and I am the programmer, and I'm
Yeah.
going to lay in what I prefer. I animate myself how I choose to be, and I'm open to those realities, you
Yeah.
know, and because we've experienced enough of the panic mind and the frenzy and the fear that has keeps us too safe and stagnant from not shining,
Yes.
you
Oh,
know?
so well said. Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
And for those of us that are at a certain level of support and abundance and security, at least for the next, you know, few months, you know, or in every moment and every day too, a big thing that helps me is always going back to that space of appreciation, always, 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 always. And also always anchoring
Yes.
in every moment the knowingness of the 7 neutral needs, right?
Yeah.
um
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. You know, if I share real quick, if I may,
yeah.
one of my things that I did through quarantine when I had nothing to do, I started learning about stocks and day trading, you know? And so I equated this with something really in the beginning, like external, studying the market, and that this has nothing, you know, it was a process of applying all the energetic chemistry to it, was a process. But in the beginning, you know, I was in a state where I didn't have a whole lot of income, and I was day trading, you know, so I
Mm.
put myself in the most scarce position anyone could put their self into, you know, and that was really fun and exciting because I got to experience mega fear,
Yeah.
And like, oh, I could have used that money for a lot of stuff,
Mm.
and like, gaining money and being like, and then like, oh, I'm going to keep going. And then you lose it all. And then, all sorts of up and down, but to still remain centered in what you can never lose
Mm.
is so important. Refortifying and
Mm.
reknowing and rekindling the true
Mm.
abundance, because money
Mhm.
is literally only one form of abundance.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
what's drilled in on my head so much,
Yep.
is that abundance is infinite. Abundance is always, you are abundance itself.
Yeah.
Money is great, but you need to exercise the frequency of abundance and openness of what abundance actually is. And it's not just money. It's a bigger field than that. It's an energy within you, And so that's what has been huge for me, which I kind of already knew, but has been amplified and layered to a new level. And
Yeah.
I thank so much day trading for that experience. Yeah, and I learned
It's
a great new
perfect.
skill. I learned a great new skill. A lot of my spiritual friends judge me for being into stocks, but I don't care. I like studying the market. To me, it's like a mental martial art and all this stuff. And uh,
Yeah.
I got really polarized into it. I learn things really fast when I get into it. And, I'm so excited to have the investment skill that a
Yeah.
lot of people overlook. At the same time, having all this esoteric practice, so I can have the understanding of the financial world and how that all operates in the esoteric world, and being able to have intellectual conversations and learn so much at many different tables, because
Absolutely.
I want to learn at different tables. I want to learn at different planets. I want to learn at different levels of all consciousness and be open to learning.
Yeah.
The greatest masters always realize they're on the beginner's level all the time,
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And
beginner.
and everything is
Hmm.
spiritual, like everything
Yeah.
is the permission slip. Everything can
Yeah.
be spiritual. Everything is coming from our spirit. Everything that we are experiencing, we are manifesting from our spirit. So everything is spiritual, like all the way. So
Yes.
thank you so much for sharing that. I love that. And it is exactly that, like going back to the awareness that we are abundance itself. And for those that maybe aren't familiar with what I'm referring to as in terms of the 7 neutral needs. First off, I'll have to say it because we have mentioned this name a couple of times.
Sure.
I am in no way officially affiliated with Bashar Communications, but I always thank and appreciate Daryl Anka and April Rochelle for doing all that they do for our community. That being said, the idea of the 7 neutral needs is a concept that Bashar has brought through that for those don't know what it is, it's the 7 neutral needs that we need to be able to survive and really all that we need to be able to live on our planet. So the first one is breath. And the second one is what, Casey?
Sleep.
Before that,
Oh, water. I'm sorry.
water. Then
Then
sleep.
sleep. Yeah.
Then food.
Food.
Then this is a test. I'm testing you. So what comes after food?
It's either shelter or is shelter,
It's shelter.
and
Yeah.
then contact or connection,
Connection.
or movement is before that.
No. Mm-mm.
Okay, then movement.
No, well, movement is, so we've got
Mm-hmm.
breath, water, sleep,
Sleep. Food.
food, some form of shelter where you can be comfortable. It can be outside, but any environment where you are physically protected in terms of where you are.
Uh-huh.
Then we've got connection with another individual, with a rock, with an aspect of your higher self. And then we've got expression or movement or ability
Okay.
to create, to follow
Yeah.
your joy,
Mm-hmm.
essentially. Yeah. So that's really
That's huge. Yeah.
it's huge and it's so useful. And I've had moments where like you go far out in the place of the fear, in the anxiety, in the aspect of our being that is fully in the experience and forgetting that it is an experience, and you go into that worry and that doubt and just the complete unknown, and there's no tinge of the fun of the mystery, right? It's just scary. and I use it all the time. And the reason why I'm like, no, I'll test you, because I know what it is. I've had to learn it. I have, in those moments where it's like, to me, what it feels like is almost like an onset of a panic attack. You can feel the energy in your body. It's almost like you're aware of the spinning of the earth, but not like in a fun way, not in a way that's like, oh, cool, I'm like on a rock in space, like in a way where it's like, it's really scary. Like I can actually feel it. And things get like white hot. And I'll take myself through, and it hasn't happened in a few months, because I think the more that you have those experiences and you anchor yourself into the knowing of the abundance, it builds like a muscle. We build that internal fire. We build the warrior tradition that is, you know, our essence. But yeah, in those moments where I would kind of lose myself, I would just go, okay, breath. Okay.
Yeah. Nice.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I have that one.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at my $200 Berkey filter that I bought. Okay, water. I'm good. The ability to go to sleep. The beautiful, amazing apartment that I have. I'm totally sheltered in this moment. Food. I have food in my fridge. I have amazing bananas and apples and oranges and gluten-free vegan pasta. Like, oh my gosh. Connection. Even if I'm completely by myself, I'm able to remember these things. I'm in a connection with an aspect of my family. In a way, I'm like remembering teachings that are coming from my great grandson. Right. So I'm in connection. And then the ability to express. And then usually what I do is I'll do some movement. I'll sing, or I'll dance, or I'll clap, or I'll just do some kind of movement to be able to like anchor it in. And then from there, we're more resourced to do whatever the next idea is, to follow whatever the next moment of joy. But for times when it's really, we have those experiences, that for me personally, the reminder of the 7 neutral needs, and really being able to look around and being like, oh,
it's ground. Yeah.
I have everything I need right now. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
And then you can flip it more and more, faster and faster, and really shift your vibration to this like complete awareness of the, you know, the ecstasy of appreciation. And as you were saying, really knowing that we are abundance itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so cool to meditate on abundance, because usually when people think the word abundance, all their scarcity fears come up and their resistance to it. And so to dissect that is really important, you know, because people get traumatized and really scared, and they get that shadow on top of themselves that they feel separate from abundance. It's the greatest illusion there is.
Well said. Yeah. And we can always choose to, again, cultivate that fire, push through the stress to just find whatever reflection of the abundance that then connects us to the appreciation and to all things that just unfold from there. It's a really powerful practice. And more, I think we're all getting it. We're all anchoring it in. And also, again, just kind of going back full circle to reminding people of just the permission slip that you just gave us of being able to, and for me, it was actually really powerful to have my eyes open, to be in the act of stillness.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's another one. Yeah.
And taking in the breath and really slowing it down and feeling the sensation. So just to remind people of that. And we will drop in the link to of the app that you are playing with as well. And I guess I'm just feeling kind of called to almost kind of wrap it up, because it's I feel like we could just keep going and going. We don't want to give people a huge piece of steak to chew on. So
real quick, that's something funny. When I was younger, in my teenage days, and exploring with weed and psychedelics, you know, my martial arts teacher, you know, I opened up to him about it. We were really close, and he's like, trust me, you'll learn to trip harder doing these practices and meditating. Like, just look at this dot on the wall for 4 hours and not move, you know. I did things like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so learning how to have psychedelic experiences without the plant medicine is the
Yeah.
next evolution for our
Yeah.
these communities, because everyone's like, plant medicine, plant medicine. That's just like one of the first steps, man.
Yeah. I
It's like,
agree
that's
for
like
sure.
beginner stuff. Those are baby steps leading to you, who we actually are and what you already have within you.
Yeah.
So people get so hot, that's a whole another talk that,
Yeah.
gets annoying for me, because I've been in those communities a lot, and there's a lot of, idolizing psychedelics.
Yeah, and there's definitely a time and a place for
Mhm.
it. They're great
Yes.
teachers to be able to show
Yes.
us what's possible. But I
Yes.
know you and I definitely agree that there's a time and a place, there's a level of it. And then really the next phase is being able to find that state on your own. And I think
Yes.
that's a big part of what we are really remembering, is that this entire experience that we are creating is a psychotropic psychedelic experience. It's a
Yes.
hallucination, it's a hologram. And
Yes.
again, that goes back to the idea that we were talking about earlier of taking the ownership of everything being from us.
Mhm.
And when we really begin to take that in my experience of how I translate it, is kind of like when the plant medicine begins to take effect,
Yeah.
and you have that moment of like wanting to fight it, or you have that moment of like,
Uh-huh.
oh, here we go, like this is so, and
Yeah.
we're experiencing an elongated version of that as we're going through this initiation, and this,
Yeah.
and bringing this transformation. The ego and the belief structures are kind of fighting to be
Yes.
to perpetuate the experience of the experience, rather than surrendering into the psychotropic
Yes.
psychedelic journey that we are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
and
Absolutely.
and so these practices like stillness and
Mhm.
focusing on the wall, or these different warrior practices, and again just kind of bringing it back into the phase that we can really begin to usher in now, is this utilization of these practices and being able to hone the knowingness of the true experience that we're creating through all of these
Mhm.
different ways, and being able to do it independently, together through that collective consciousness, is
Yes, show
where we're at.
the holistic cultivation of it all.
Yeah.
Just like in a psychedelic trip, what I've experienced is people having bad trips. A lot of people live their life in a bad trip because it's just those
Mm,
negative belief systems amplified.
mm,
The funny thing is, on psychedelics, if you just hold a smile and you're having a bad time, eventually the mirror will change and you're experiencing different energies all of a sudden, because it has no choice to reflect back to you. So I like to live my life that way. This is a
yeah.
psychedelic trip, and I just got to remember to smile, and all of a sudden I go from hell into heaven.
And also,
Yeah.
I do think that, it
Hmm.
is a part of it, of being, of remembering to smile, but then also like honoring our honest belief systems and our honest
Yes.
emotions of where we are at, and
Hmm.
smiling into the darkness, of smiling into the primordial
Yes.
fear. And
Yes.
that's really
Uh-huh.
how we wield the snake, right? Going back to your vision
Absolutely.
earlier.
Absolutely. It
Um,
all becomes one.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's this really intricate dance then of choosing and pushing ourselves towards joy and passion, or then
Hmm.
sometimes knowing like, okay, there's really something here that I need to look at, I need to journal, I need to cry, I need to dance, I need to move, I need to be with this,
Yes.
or I know that I've done that enough, I
Yes.
now need to focus on the joy, on focus on smiling, and push myself to do that. And for everyone it's completely different, but I always like
Hmm.
to share that, and remind people of that, because like it's both, like you were saying, and it's so necessary that we don't continue to get caught in the idea of positive thinking,
Hmm.
because then we're slipping into judgment and definitions of the denser
Hmm.
aspects, shadow aspects of
Yeah.
ourself, that need the unconditional love, and need the invitation to come into the space of awareness. And yeah, that's the wielding of the snake.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the centering of it, yeah, because as soon as you judgment, you're not smiling.
Mm.
Smiling is a high state of awareness,
Mm-hmm.
where it can see all the dark things and you're in the light and you're right there dancing with all the devils, but
Yeah.
you're not being allured by the illusion and trickery and cunning of the darkness, where it
Right.
plays you.
Exactly.
And snake charming, the snake will either charm you or you'll charm the snake. Just in martial arts, one person can lead. The one who's in higher consciousness is always leading the experience, you know? So it's kind of, that's my, you know, experience with it.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's it. Thank you for stepping up and being one of our leaders, Casey, sincerely.
Oh yeah,
and
let's lead.
Yeah, that's what we're all doing. And sincerely, thank you for being you and for expressing yourself and knowing that it's time to start sharing your gifts in this way. So where can people find you? How can people contact you? What can we get excited to start seeing you share with our community?
Wow. Yeah. Now that everything's opening up, I just started teaching a small group here in Long Beach. And, you know, I'm looking at schools. I have investors for schools. So we'll have a pop-up place. For many years, I had a school in Monterey where we did all sorts of events, all sorts of different stuff, all sorts of community events, like Lionsgate all the time, you know. So I'm excited to have that here down in LA soon. Until then, I'm just filming. You can contact me if you want to come to Long Beach for some personal sessions or some online trance hypnotherapy guided warrior work to get you on your state of initiation in these realms, you know, and assisted energetic practices. You know, that'll be something coming out. But Casey Lake, you know, I have been under construction for a little bit.
We all have.
Yeah, but we definitely got a lot of things coming. I just got a lot of exciting news that is before I got on this, that's going to open up a lot more things, you know. So we're getting a studio down the street to film. So and this crew I'm training, we have a whole vision and plans and actions, you know, getting more. But you can check me out at caseylake.com. Check out my website. Check me out on Facebook. There's some martial art videos on YouTube. And let's get in touch. You can always sign up for my email newsletter and Gita too. And we have a lot of future ideas and things in store for the collective expansion of awareness together. Yes.
That we do. So I will leave all of the links in the comments below so people can connect with Casey and we can all continue to play through this initiation of the wielding of our power and the honing of the transformation that we are. So thank you so much, Casey, for
Thank you so much.
me. Yeah,
it's always a huge pleasure and super fun and exciting to join and be with you and open this up always.
Yeah, likewise, my friend. So stay on the call. Once I disconnect, don't hang up, and we'll connect and say goodbye before we hang up. There's always like a moment where you're like, but just stay here after it.
Sounds good.
Well,
bye everyone.
Well, thank you so much everyone for joining us, and let's just take a nice deep collective inhale and exhale. Though our minds may be different, though our bodies may be different, it is through our hearts that we know our spirits are one. This has been Gabbing with Gita. Thank you very much, Casey Lake, and we will see you next time. Aloha.